So to keep things moving along, again, and a good segue into our next speaker and regarding the challenges that are being faced as a Somali American is Mr. Abdirahman Yusuf, who is the co-founder and the executive director of the Somali Development Center, SDC International, which is a leading African American micro-social agency headquartered here in Boston and does a lot of great work with the refugees and a lot of great work with the youth as well. And they have satellite offices in Manchester, New Hampshire, Springfield, Worcester, and Chelsea. Mr. Yusuf was a former senior public health program manager with over of managerial experience in the community health, and he also trained and has experience in practical problem solving. And then over a decade, he's been working with local and citywide media outlets to help them understand the Somali people and help us in figuring out our message. So the topic is challenges and advantages of being a Somali American, and let's welcome Mr. Abdirahman Yusuf to the podium.
Let me start by saying that I'm someone who loves the Somali language. And it actually pains me to be speaking in English, but the fact of the matter is that the young kids that are here today, many of them do not understand enough Somali, so the point will not be received if we speak in the real, rich Somali language. These kids include my own children. I have a 20-year-old who's a second year in college at Syracuse University. He doesn't speak any Somali. I have a 17-year-old who's will be senior next year in high school, and a 15-year-old. So I understand. But there are solutions to this question if we wanted to do it. And I've been taking some notes while people were talking. I think it was Shadia who was talking about mostly about, can we learn Somali and what can we do this? I don't know if she's here. Did she leave? Okay. Shadia is an Arabic name, I think. It's not a Somali name, but I would suggest to Shadia that she listen to her own song. There is a very famous popular song called Shadia by Chamaire. Start from there. Listen to the words, listen to it, and maybe you will appreciate the language. Another thing is that the Somali language is still well and alive in all the Somali territories in Africa. I've been there, I go back and forth, and believe me, it's even better. People write nowadays, they write books, they write articles and stories on the internet, so it's actually growing even much faster than before. So don't be disappointed. Once you put your mind to it, you can do it. Let me quickly go through my comments. Many of these speakers yesterday and today talk about clanism and this and that and the division and this and that. It's very important to address things in a very appropriate and given the appropriate time of discussion it requires. Problems amongst the Somali people is not because of the clan that they belong to. It's the political clanism. Clan has been politicized. It's now Somalia, we don't have political problems. We have clan politic problem. That's what we have. So let's put that aside and talk about it some other day and give it the time it merits and what's going on. It's about resources, it's about power, it's about survival. It's not because so-and-so is X and so-and-so Y, and that's not the reason. The topic today I'm going to talk to you about is the challenges of being a Somali American and the advantage of being a Somali American. For me, I don't need to do literature search or research to find these issues. I live it every single day, Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week. I see the challenges. I know the issues. I know what's going on with families and their children, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I see it. So I'm just going to share with you some of those examples so you don't think you're alone in these challenges. And then we'll offer some hopes and resolutions to these things. Somali people who came here as refugees, not all of them came from urban cities. Not all of them, not all their family members were educated and high school graduates and college graduates. Many of them came from villages. small towns, and even rural areas. There were goat herders. There were people who were actually herding goats who came to Boston. I know this because I talked to them. And you can imagine the challenges that their children would be facing in this highly advanced society and developed society. My job is to give them as much information I can to help them, to counsel them when they are thinking about certain decisions or doing certain things that they share with me. We know families who don't really see their daughters as being all that important. I mean, here they are, the children are seeing what all the other women are doing, what all the other girls are doing, how they are advancing in their education and careers, and their mom is saying something else that's quite limited. So at age 16, she's already talking to her about you should be getting married, you should be having babies, doesn't really matter about high school, college. Not all parents are like that, but some are. And so I challenge the parents, I talk with them, and especially when they just repeat what they have heard over the years in terms of sort of belittling the female gender in our society. And well, I say, well, that's true. Men cannot do that. But the truth is, I ask them, how do you come to the United States? And they say, well, we came by plane. Is it possible one of the planes you came on was, the pilot was a female? And she goes, yeah, I've So what's the difference between her and your daughter? Don't you think your daughter could be the same? And she's like, well, I suppose. But you need to do this and this and this. Some listen, some don't. So those are some of the challenges. Again, the issue of mistrust and be afraid of things that they don't know. Human beings are by nature afraid of things that they don't know. I've seen families where their children were excelling in school. They were identified by their teachers, and they wanted to send them to special programs to enhance their education. One kid comes to mind in particular. He was such a good student. His teacher recommended that he participate in a program in Harvard, and he stayed that summer there. His mom would not allow that. And the things that she believed was completely things that I told her doesn't happen when kids go to. Well, that kid never had that opportunity. He wanted to go to another college outside of Boston. She wouldn't allow, and he's a boy. She wanted him to enroll university right in the middle of downtown Boston. Well, needless to say, he's not really doing very well. Let's put it this way. And he was the only one in the could have been a family of 11 people. 11. So there's a lot of those kind of examples. Now, my experience, which is I can only share with you how I personally dealt with these issues, because I came here young, even younger than some of you. When I came to Boston, I was 18 years old. And I had no mother, no father here, by myself. And I thought I was a tough guy. We did not have a green card, did not have mass health, wasn't getting food stamp, wasn't getting cash assistance, nothing. Got to fend for yourself. I didn't have a lot of money in my pocket either. In fact, I landed in Logan Airport with $150 in my pocket. That's it. But still, I was very eager to work, to go to school, pay out of pocket, by the way, to go to the university. And with the support of my dad, who since passed away, and an uncle of mine who was working in Saudi Arabia, I managed to finish my bachelor degree in 1984 from the University of South Dakota in the Midwest. I went through Minneapolis in '81. There was not a single Somali person living there at that time. So then I came back to Boston. But, we used to work full-time, right here in Boston. Minimum wage at the time was $2.88, and we thought we were great, washing dishes, working hard, going to school in the morning, We were roommates, you know, myself and other Somali kids. We will rent a place and share the rent and the food and all that stuff and help each other. And focus singularly on education. Because that's the only reason we were here. There was no other reason. We did not come here as refugees. We wanted to finish school and then go back home. The point of this is, before you are able to help anybody else, you got to help yourself first, and that of your family by getting proper education. Yeah, it's tough. It's not easy. You know, when you get your bachelor's degree or you get your master's degree, you know it's not a cakewalk. Those of you who actually did it know. But the ones who did not, they will come up with all kinds of excuses why it's not so important. Yeah? But it is a hard work. And only those who work hard and sacrifice and give up other issues will, in fact, succeed and get that. So before you are able to help anybody, you got to help yourself and do that. Now, when we came, there were not too many people in Boston. In fact, I remember exactly that we were 20 people, including babies. There were a couple of families that had babies. So we used to count those too. So less than 20. And after a while, you know, I think we all became bicultural and bilingual. What I mean by cultural and bilingual is you must have your own culture first, Somali culture and language. And you must learn the culture of this country that you live in. Nowadays, we have a lot of people who are neither. Yeah, physically, they are Somali. They were born into the Somali family, but they're not completely understanding Somali culture, and they don't completely understand American culture. They're somewhere in the middle. It's really important to learn both. At least you get to be a bicultural if you cannot be bilingual. Okay? Like many other speakers said, having your own language and other languages is an advantage to you. So you may be asking, how can I help my country? Well, first, let's see if we kind of tell you a little bit about your country. And I must confess, the older I got, the more interested I am in my country. When we were younger in either age, we have to be honest here, we were not all that concerned. We were just having fun. And of course, there were no civil war and there were no, killings and sectarian fighting and all that stuff. None of those things exist. But as I got older, I became more interested in the culture and systematically learned through poetry and songs and listening to other people. And, you know, if I don't know a word, I will never go home without actually learning what this word means and asking somebody else. Some of my friends know that. So you may be saying, okay, well, how can I help my country? Well, you know, I read an article once a few years ago where a group of anthropologists did a research. What they did is they tested the mitochondrial DNA. This is the DNA that on the maternal side of the people of the Horn of Africa, and then compared to that of West Africa, Central Africa, and Europe. And what they found out was that there was so much DNA diversity from the people of the Horn of Africa, and they could trace some of those, a particular maternal DNA to everybody in the world, Europe, Nigeria, everywhere. And their conclusion, this was a while ago, so I don't have all the information right now. Their conclusion was that the lands of where Somali people live now, Ethiopia, is what's referred to the Garden of Eden, where humanity was actually created. You know, so we know that in our religion and other people's religion, that Adam and Hawa are the folks that everybody came from. Well, where exactly that environment was. These scientists are saying it is the Horn of Africa, the today's Somalia and Ethiopia. So this place is very important. Yes, Egypt is important. That's true. But I believe ours is extremely important as well. And I think we all need to just go back and learn. You know, the Egyptians used to come to pilgrimage to land of Punt, which is where we are right now. The pharaohs and the kings used to come and used to have pilgrimage there. So we have something to do with that. Some solutions to some of these challenges, especially language and culture, and taking advantage of really the opportunity that we have here. Maybe young people do not understand this, but those of us who grew up in Somalia know the advantage that you all have here, okay? You have a lot of advantages. I remember when I was growing up, it was a common, and I think this was common amongst all Somali families, there would be maybe one person who will have an opportunity to go on a scholarship education somewhere abroad, England, Italia, America, whatever. The whole family and the extended family will know about this person, and they will always be wishing well and waiting until he or she comes back. This was such a big deal. This is not an opportunity that everybody used to get. Here, for some reason, and through this calamity, we find ourselves in a land of plenty and opportunities if you want to take advantage of it. And it's not just going to come to you. It's hard work. It's hard work, and you must understand the culture that you live in. If you want to isolate yourself, that's your business. You know, the Amish is a perfect example. The Amish of Pennsylvania, they don't like this modern world and the way people dress, the way they behave. So what did they decide? They live out in the woods in Pennsylvania. They build their own house with their hands. They grow everything they eat. So they just shun civilization. They don't impose anybody on anything, but they just want to live the way they want. And that's where they are. But if you choose to live in this society and you want to succeed, then you must work hard and you must make decisions that may be sometimes tough. And live your life for yourself and that of family and people who actually matter. That means you have to learn who matters, who doesn't matter. Again, I keep coming back to the language and the challenge that young people are having, and using my own experience and my own children. I have 3 kids. 2 of them don't care about Somalian language and all that stuff. One of them is curious and asks me questions, and that makes me extremely happy when he does that. And he found, someone earlier spoke about, he found a software on the internet on his own, researched it, got a software that can teach somebody Somali English and Somali together, and it only costs $10. So he comes to me and says, Dad, do you have a $10? I said, what do you need? I'm going to buy this software that I can learn. He downloads it, puts it in his iPod, and then every morning he will come. Subah wanaagsan. And he come at night, feed wanaagsan. Baris madonisa. This, you know, I haven't taught him. He just did. And then I will make corrections and we'll add more things. But to really learn the language, because to understand a culture, even the one that you're born into, if you don't know the language, you really are not going to get the whole idea. So I think I will say this, and I may have spoken this to someone about it, I don't know if it was Saeed or somebody else, but it's an idea, and anyone can run with it. I don't own it, I don't care. Maybe organizing some kind of exchange student program where certain individuals, of course, with the blessing of their families and with the necessary resources and logistics, maybe go back and spend a year at the universities, and I would say where we know that child will be safe and can come back to us alive, okay? And then let them spend there and teach the Somali kids over there English, and then they will certainly teach you Somali, believe me. Good and bad, everything. With that, I just want to leave you. I know Bilan and the group are coming up here, the panelists, but I just want to emphasize, and I want you to remember this. You must strive to be a true bicultural person in the United States. True bicultural. you cannot live halfway here and there and be confused for the rest of your life. And possibly bilingual. And possibly bilingual. And work hard, and congratulations, and thank you for coming. For those of you who actually took the time to sit here all day yesterday and today, because I think you will do much better than the ones who are not here. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdirahman.
Okay. Let me see if and I will speak this in English because of the online audience. Let me see if you said, you see that there are now less girls graduating from college than boys, right? There's a change, a trend change. Yeah. Well, one of the factors could be what I mentioned earlier, but also maybe it has to do again with the parents themselves. The parents need to understand the importance of educating their daughters. And personally, the examples I use is that when the Somali people became refugees, starting from 1988 till now, you know, all the way to now, actually, those who had daughters who were educated and were professional or were working overseas, be it in the United States, Europe, anywhere, were the ones who got a lot of help. Those families. يعني عدي أي قبل البنانك وقوم مقنعين وحبرتين إشقيسنيين بالادنا الصوماليين ويكوضا مرق فتي أرنكاس. So maybe perhaps we just need to remind the mothers, have some kind of workshops, call all of them, instead of talking about the irrelevant things that people spend a lot of time, maybe just continue. So I don't really know what is happening, but maybe we should just double our efforts of educating the mothers. It's the mothers who are important.
Thank you so much.